raising women's voices,
one story at a time.
Welcome to the She Said Project podcast. Well, hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the She Said Project podcast. I am Jenette and we are a couple weeks into this new setup with our friends at WCIA, and it just keeps getting better and better. It's an honor to be with you, really, because our job here at the podcast is to get to know women who've shared personal stories live on stage and hear the story behind the story and bring you more laughter, more tears, and more incredible women from our local communities. I'm here with my co-host, Carrie Rosso, and it just keeps getting better and better, Carrie. That's what she said.
Same. You beat me. But what a great gig. Like, we get to seek out amazing women, hear their stories, get back together and chat with them. Life can't be much better than this.
Absolutely. Now, you started this a long time ago. I think I've lost track of the years, to be quite honest.
That's okay.
And I've lost track. Like, if you asked me how many That's What She Said shows we've had to date, I honestly couldn't tell you. And if you asked me how many women have graced the stage, it's got to be somewhere between 300 and 400, maybe more. We're in so many amazing communities now, but it all started as a one-night thing back in Champaign-Urbana, where we happen to sit right now in our recording studio. And I'm laughing because the last 12 years have brought me personally, I can only speak for myself, joy and growth. I learned so much about myself with every new cast, with every new journey, and hearing what women have gone through and what they've learned along the way. Like, I can't help but be transformed.
Yeah, it's the same thing, what I have found. So we were always very purposeful about the cast, that we wanted there to be diversity in lots of ways. And one of the ways that we're purposeful is about age, because what we say when we're 20 is different than when we're 50 and different than when we're 80. But I think it's the same with the stories, because stories that hit when I watched them when I was 40, as opposed to stories that I watch now when I'm 50, or because I've lost a parent, or because I have something that happens to me personally, I'll go back and watch a story. And I'm so glad to have this archive of stories of amazing women and their stories to tap into for when whatever the thing is, fill in the blank, is important in my own life. And I think, somebody talked about that. And then I go back and pull it. It's pretty great.
It's really hard too in everyday conversation when I get to know someone and they're telling me about something they've been through, and I very quickly go, oh, there was this story, let me tell you. And I'm relating not from my own experience, but from someone else's experience that absolutely impacted me just because I got to listen.
Mm-hmm. Well, we always say it's just as important for the people to hear the story as it is for the people telling the story. They're connected, but they're two really different experiences we want to be mindful about both of those for the person that is braving the microphone. But we also want to be aware of what the experience is for the people who are hearing it.
And something that's kind of happened throughout the journey that we've gotten more intentional about, because we've learned like how we used to do things, how we used to coach women who are going on the stage in the story writing process. This is one of my biggest takeaways. And this is kind of a big She Said secret. So if you're listening, pay attention, because this might not get revealed again. But professional women speakers who are out there doing an amazing job inspiring people, sharing stories because they have impact, they typically end with a call to action. Now that I've learned all of these things, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to tell you, how you can make a different choice, because you don't have to make the same mistake I did. And it's with the best of intentions, because they want to share with the audience. And reflecting on what you said about how important it is for the person there sitting there listening, it isn't about what you tell them to take away from your story. Just telling your story is enough. They're going to take away exactly what they need to hear from your experience. In fact, I'm now of the belief that if you try to end your story with a big lesson learned and a takeaway and, now it's your turn, that you're actually robbing them of the experience to take what they needed. Because you're telling them what they needed to hear. But it really does land with each woman differently. And I love what you said, that you could listen to a story, years pass, and then a story that didn't have as much meaning to you lands completely different because of your lived experiences.
Right. Well, I remember, and our guest today talks a little bit about this, but I remember when I was little and listening through the vent to my mom and mama and my aunts or whoever, they were sitting around chatting, and all the takeaways I had from that, but never during their conversations did I hear, and for $9.95, you can too buy my book, buy my whatever, buy my template to a perfect life.
Right.
It was just sharing. Here's where we are. Here's what's happening. Here's what was funny. Here's what was sad. How can I help?
Yes.
That's real life. And I think it depends on what you're looking for. When you're looking for that Brene Brown, a polished speaker, there's a place for it.
Absolutely. We
Go
love those
and do
too.
that. But there was this big void of just people just telling their story and then no, that's it. There's no wrap up. That's just the story. And it really resonated because that's most of us.
So we actually had a review of one of our shows. I'm going to tell you. And I don't have all the details of who it was, but we had a critic in the house, and they wrote up a review of the show. And they specifically said, okay, so now you've shared all these amazing stories. Now what? What's the call to action? What are we going to do? Like, it feels like this anticlimactic thing that, you're not following up with a big movement. And then they kept writing. And then later in the article, the reflection was, well, maybe just telling the stories was enough. And
that's the takeaway.
Yeah, it was a ding, ding, ding moment. Like, they got it. They got it. Sometimes just telling the stories is enough. Magic is going to happen because you gave yourself permission to stand loud and proud, be seen and be heard. You're automatically giving other women permission to do the same. You don't need to hammer them over the head with it.
Or to not have the answers.
Right.
You can still be making huge progress and not have it wrapped up in a bow yet. That's whenever people, and I think that speakers often have that pressure when they come in, but I don't have it wrapped up. I'm not through it yet.
I hear it all the time.
Good.
Yes. Show us where you're at. Wherever it is just right.
We don't need it wrapped in a bow.
Yeah. Life is a work in progress. So are you. So is your story. And it's so much, that's like a huge piece of the discovery process. Like, this is where you're at. Okay. And period. And they're like, what? No, that's exactly where your story needs to end. And we don't need to reflect, turn the mirror around. We just stay. We stay with it. And because I get to meet so many incredible women and learn about, where they're at in their life's journey, there are some recurring themes. And one of them is just women of a certain age, which I will include myself in that there is a moment in life where you start realizing some things, right? And I don't know if it's hormonal. I don't know if it's just...
I don't know why you looked at me when you said hormonal.
We're going to call it awareness. There's this awareness that, life is short. There's things I needed to get done. I'm not going to wait around any longer. I'm taking time for me. I'm going after my truth. And it's kind of fun to watch women go through that phase in life. I can't lie.
It's kind of fun. Like, let's just get the popcorn and watch because this is going to be good.
In fact, I had a lot of fun with our guest today. We worked together on a very recent show in our sister community of Danville, Illinois. And she kind of knew what she was going to talk about and then was very hesitant about it. And then there was a moment where she discovered, yeah, this is the one. And so I'm excited for you to get to know her and for our friends to get to know her and explore her journey with us. So please welcome to the She Said Project podcast, Miss Carla Boyd. And you are here in person in our studio.
Yes.
And looking absolutely gorgeous, my friend.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yes.
I am really good.
Now, some of our guests on the podcast shared their story months ago, years ago. It's a big reflection moment, but you are a recent, she said, sister.
Yeah.
And very close by. And so this is it's a little fresher, for our memories.
Give us the dirt. So how did you get roped in? Start there.
This is
Spill
good.
all the tea.
Okay. I got did I get a call from you or a text from you?
I think it was a text introduction. Maybe.
Yeah. And a mutual friend of ours recommended that Jenette talk with me. And so we met at Mad Goat.
We did. We love some Mad Goat. It's a coffee shop.
Coffee shop.
Near.
I don't drink coffee, but I had a smoothie, and I think you had coffee.
You remember.
I remember. And we sat down, and it just felt like I'd known her all my life. And she was very encouraging about, well, just tell me about yourself. Just tell me some things. And I'm like, and I just started telling her everything about me.
And I don't even know if she knew exactly what we were there, like what I was there to invite her to yet. It was just a meet and greet kind of moment.
Yeah, I didn't know. And then you told me, I would like for you to be in this show. And I'm like, oh, what? Wait a minute.
I was just chatting.
But after
I thought I was just getting a new friend.
But we talked, and we talked about, and you asked me some very pointed questions just to help me to start thinking about what I would talk about.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of stories already in my head. Because I'm in school, I was reading a lot of articles, and so those stories were very fresh in my head for my dissertation. And we talked about that story, and Jenette was very wise. And she said, let's talk about something. Do you have any others? You didn't say it like that, but it was like, let's see what else is going on. What else is going on with you? I don't know if those were your exact words, but it was something like that. But you did, we shifted. And I was like very happy we did, because you were right. It probably wasn't the best story.
Always right.
It wasn't the best story, so thank you. But then I talked about, there had been a story that had been running around in my head for a few years.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to shout it from the rooftops, but I was always held back. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the story.
Maybe this is a sign.
This
There's this woman sitting across from me saying, shout it from the rooftops. Let's go. Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I know what story I'm going to go with. And literally after our meeting, and I think I pondered, and then I said, yes, I contacted you and said, yes, I'll be in the show. And then I literally, after our first meeting, went home and started writing. And I was and it was just pouring out of me. And I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just get it. And I've always said, from my dissertation program, they just put all of it out on the paper. You can fix it later. And so I was just writing. I have
to agree.
And it was just pouring out of me. And my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm writing my story. I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good. And so then I wrote it. And then I guess we can say history, because we worked together for a couple of months, few months, and
I'm going to say it didn't take that much editing and polishing. It was there. It was all there.
It was I think it was like a couple of meetings. You helped me craft it, helped me, polish it. And I was very thankful for that, because mine was real raw.
That's good.
So we polished it.
And that is the thing. There is some strategy, if you will, when women are sharing stuff that's, harder, raw, good word. Mm-hmm. There is a way to craft it that, you kind of prepare the audience, and then if you're going to drop a big bomb, you don't just drop it and walk away. Like and I've learned this through the process. Just there's a way to share exactly in the right order so that the audience stays, with you on the journey. And yours was complicated because it spanned some decades.
Yes.
It wasn't just a one-time thing. It wasn't just a one slice of life, moment in time. But it was important that we covered the journey for you, and even to where you are today. Like I feel like we're keeping everybody in the dark, but it impacts you. Everything you do, your life changed on a dime.
Yeah. And this month I had another change. So.
Oh,
And the story continued.
Oh, the story continues. Okay, I'm going to pause right there and put a little ... on my paper because I don't want to forget that. Let's take a quick break and let's revisit your story, share it with our friends and our listeners, and then I want to know how the story continues. So I'm excited. Here we go. Well, we know that there is more to the story, but until we enjoy the performance from That's What She Said, we're not going to know how the story goes on. So please enjoy this performance by Carla Boyd. She was on stage in That's What She Said Danville 2025. Here's her story, Making Sense of Me.
The roots of my story began almost 60 years ago. My parents are very sociable people, so they often hosted parties at our home. Aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, and family friends would be invited. As children, we were not allowed to be at these parties. We were banished to our rooms upstairs. But as most kids do, we would sneak downstairs and try to listen to the grown-up conversations. My mother would be busy hosting the ladies in the living room, and I remember this one aunt of mine would often get a little toasty and we would overhear her making snide comments directed at my mom. To my young mind, they were just riddles or half stories, but to my mom, they seemed to be paralyzing. I never understood what was happening in the moment, but growing up, I always wondered about my mom's stoic reaction in those moments. My dad would be entertaining the men in the front room, what we called the good room, the room where we were never allowed to hang out in. We made sure he did not catch us sneaking around the party, or there would be a whooping. My dad was the authoritarian of our home. Growing up, I was really scared of my dad. I didn't think he liked me very much. Don't get me wrong. He took good care of me and all my siblings. He was a strong provider. But whenever he would punish or whoop us, it always seemed that I would get it worse than my siblings. Looking back, it didn't seem fair. My siblings would get away with anything, and I always got the blame and the punishment that came with it. Most of my childhood, I avoided being in his presence. When he came home from work, I would go upstairs to my room and not come downstairs until he went to sleep. Alone in my room, I would read for hours or listen to the radio. The local radio stations became my companions. I think I know every song played in the late 70s and early 80s. He ran our family business, which was a very successful local tavern. One day, driving home from work, he got stopped. Because of his DUI, he had to attend several weeks of classes to keep his license. He was required to bring someone with him. Guess who got chosen to go? Me. I went with him for 6 weeks and sat there listening to the class. Eventually, it was my dad's turn to tell the story of how his drinking landed him there. As he spoke and looked at me listening to his story, something within him broke. I had never seen my dad so vulnerable. In fact, till then, I rarely interacted with my dad at all. Around this time, I had gotten my driver's permit. The only driving experience I could get was when my friends let me test drive their cars. Early one Saturday morning, my dad came to my bedroom, woke me up, and told me to get dressed. It shocked and scared me because this was a man that only talked to me when he was yelling at me about something I did wrong. I woke my sister up and I told her I didn't want to go. In my mind, as crazy as it sounds, I thought I was a goner. I'm thinking, this is it. He's gonna kill me. I did what I was told and got in the car. We drove for a while, making very small talk. He pulled into a parking lot near the beach on the peninsula and stopped the car. At this point, I knew I was going to die, and he was going to throw me in the lake. He got out and walked around to my side of the truck. When he opened the door, he told me, "Move over and get in the driver's seat and start the engine." He began telling me about the mechanics of the truck. Then he said, "Start driving." That day, my dad took me for my first driving lesson. We would repeat this every Saturday for the next few weeks until he thought I was ready to go take my driving test. I took the test and failed. During the dreaded three-point turn, I hit the guardrail. But because I failed, every Sunday we would go to the family tavern, and he made me do three-point turns for what I thought were hours. I nailed the test, and I am proud to say I am a fantastic driver, and I can hit a three-point turn at the drop of a hat. Our relationship really changed after that. He became more engaged in my school extracurricular activities. He insisted that I go to college. He taught me all about cars, said he wanted me to know so I wouldn't have to depend on a man. We were building a mutually loving relationship. I grew less afraid to interact with him. It was as if he was now seeing me as a daughter he could talk to, instead of the child that he never understood. Well, I grew up and met a man who whisked me away from my hometown. When I came home to visit with my husband and children, I wouldn't take them to visit with him. At this point, my parents were divorced, and my dad was struggling with addiction. I knew it broke his heart, but I didn't want to expose my children to his lifestyle. After a few years went by, I wrote my dad a letter. I apologized for my behavior, told him that I loved him and that he was my dad. We spoke on the phone often. He would call just to say, "Hey, baby." I loved receiving those calls. My dad died December 24th, 2019. He was in the hospital for respiratory and heart failure. I was sitting next to him when he took his last breath. It took me years to figure out who I am and where I belong. But I never forgot those uncomfortable moments my aunt made to my comments my aunt made to my mother and how strangely she reacted. Whispers circulated around my family like a tornado in the Midwest. Mom and I remained close through the years and still are to this day. But there were too many unanswered questions that my now adult brain couldn't answer. Why did my aunt torment her at every family gathering? Why did Dad always treat me like I was the problem? Why did I seem to never fit in with everyone? Tired of all the answers, unanswered questions, and rumors that were now surfacing, I ordered an Ancestry DNA kit. My sister was with me when I opened up the results. It was no surprise that she was my strongest match. But there were definitely some surprises as we continued to read the DNA results. My strongest match, my second strongest match, was a dude I had never heard of before. He was much younger than me and had a Polish name. Sit with that one. I did. My sister started looking up people on Facebook, and it became clear to me that she knew more about the family secret than she was letting on. Turns out my dad was not my biological dad. I found out I had two sisters and a brother. Turns out that close match was the son of the brother I didn't know I had. Since that time, I've been on a journey of discovery, meeting siblings, nieces, nephews, grands, learning about this family. I noticed that this bunch of strangers have the same mannerisms, likes, dislikes, personality, and quirks. Growing up, I always felt like the oddball in my family. I was different. Now, it all makes sense to me. I smile because the people in this family, they make me make sense. This information never changed how I felt about my dad. I loved him until his last breath. As I reflected on my life and our ups and downs, I'm sad for him because I suspect on some level he knew about my parentage, yet in his own way chose to love and raise me as his child, never saying anything to me. Yes, we had our challenges, but he was there. I have struggled with how to share this with my entire family, worried that it might affect our relationship. Tired of the whispers and secrets, I needed to speak my truth out loud and proud. My story shaped me. My story makes me make sense.
Your story makes you make sense. What a great ending line. But what a perfect opportunity to explore this big secret, if you will, and to find the right way to share it with the people in your world. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's been a couple of months for me, and I've had some more conversations with my mom.
So the story continues.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I have questions, y'all. What, when I heard,
Did you predict the bomb dropping?
No, because I've watched so many, salacious true crimes. I was like, somebody's an alien. I immediately went to, Crazy Town. And then, but I was just so stunned. And now I'm like, but then what happened? Then who did you talk to? Did you talk to your mom? Did you talk to how'd your sister? What did she know that she wasn't telling you? All the things.
Well, we get to unpack it on the podcast. Let's do it.
Well, I don't even know where to begin. I did talk to my sister prior to doing the show because I was talking with Jenette and I broke down many times with her. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm afraid that, what's going to happen to my relationships with the people that I grew up with, because I'm closer to my dad's side of the family than my mom's. And so I'm like, that would just totally, to me in my head, that would shatter those relationships. And so I talked to my sister, and I read it to her, and she cried, and she says, I am so sorry. And she's like, I remember those. And she goes, she was the one who told me, she goes, I don't even think we ever got whoopings. You did, but we didn't. And I was like, yeah. Now that I'm remembering, yeah. And so I was the one that got the whoopings. Now, we would get all put on punishment, but I would get a whooping. And I'm like, and I was a good girl. And I think it has definitely, it shaped my life, because now I'm really uber good. I try to, color in the lines and all this other stuff. Every now and again, I'll have a moment. But I can see how it shaped my life. But then I had, after the show, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I need to tell her. Because I still hadn't told her what
she didn't know that you knew.
No, she knew I knew. She didn't know
you were
that I told the story.
That you were going public. Okay.
That I was going public.
Yeah,
with
you don't want her to find out in the audience.
When we first talked about it, because I told her about the DNA, I'm like, we need to have a conversation. Look at this. And she did. She told me the stories, and every so often she would let some of it spill out, and I would just listen, and I would ask questions, and so it was fine. But she was like, and I was like, oh. So I became Facebook friends with my siblings, my new siblings, and we were going to just say, hey, we were going to just, and my mom was like, no, you don't be telling my business. And I'm like, and I understood that, because I'm like, in her time, my mom is 84. So back in the day, you didn't talk about anything that went on in the house.
Right.
And to this day, she still feels that way. And she's like, you don't be telling my business. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I talked with my siblings. My siblings, you'll love this. My siblings are 80 and 82.
Your biological siblings from your dad's side.
Yes.
Right.
They are 80 and 82.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's the same age. Okay. So I started playing, doing the math in my head. But anywho, we talked about it, and I told her, I said, okay, here's the story that I told. And she was like, well, why did you do that? And I said, because this is my story. I said, it's not about you. You're hardly mentioned in it, but it's me, and it's a part of me, and I needed to tell that story. I'm not ashamed of how I got here, because I'm here. If it wasn't for you too, I wouldn't be here. And I'm like, I'm not ashamed of that. And I said, so I'm willing to say it out loud and proud and not care what people think.
Now, you did not get to meet the man, right?
I did.
Oh.
I found out that I met him when I was younger.
What?
Yes, my mom, I've told you the stuff was coming out of her.
Because when you did the ancestry test, at what age were you?
Oh, I was an adult.
Was he
I
still
didn't-
around when you
No.
confirmed? So you didn't meet him after you confirmed.
No,
But
not
you
after.
but you've now
My
been informed
mother
that there was a
told
time.
me that there was a time where she introduced us, and
Oh.
I didn't know it. She introduced me to my siblings. She introduced me to my grandmother on his side. I didn't know any of this.
Did they know?
My siblings knew when I was an adult because my nephew died, and we were at the funeral. They came to the funeral. That's when they had found out. They said, our father said that we have a sibling with you. And my mom said, well, I have a daughter named Carla. I don't know what you're talking about, but I can introduce you to her. I'm at a funeral. My nephew had just passed away. I came home, so I'm meeting all these different people. And so hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? And I kept going. And later she tells me, well, yeah, you met them at JJ's funeral. I'm like, what? And I'm like, you could have told me.
Mom, you
left that part
neglected
out.
this one little piece of information.
Yeah.
Just didn't tell me.
And when I was a kid, I used to always go with my mom so every time the washing machine would break down, we would go to the laundromat. And I would go, and we would always go to this laundromat that was kind of far away from the house. And she would give me a roll of nickels and then a roll of quarters and a roll of dimes. And she's like, she'll start the laundry, and then she's like, you put it in the dry, And the local bar was next door, so she would go to the bar while I was in the laundromat. And I could buy all the chips I wanted. I could buy all the pops I wanted. Just make sure the laundry got dry. And then I would put it all together, and then I would put it in the car, and then I would go over there and say, we're done, let's go. Or, we're all
Okay.
And so he was there, I guess, once, and she introduced us, and I didn't know. It's just hi.
Again, lacking some important information.
bit.
Like, okay.
But I understood that because I was a kid, maybe 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
So I got that. And I don't fault her for her choices because she was married.
Right. To the man who raised you,
raised
the
me,
man in
and-
your story. Yeah.
And it's like, and he was an authoritarian, so it's like you kind of don't just say those kinds of things.
Right. We don't reveal anything. But we now live in a world, and I think it's like worth mentioning, back in the day, secrets stayed secrets. Now you can do a mail order DNA kit, right? Get all this information and then go to your computer and go facebook.com. Like you could get your answers like that. This is the world we live in.
And it's really tricky because of the shared history stuff. So what you needed to move forward probably felt really different to your mom, what she needed. And then what do you do when you have shared history and two different needs on how to move forward? And I think that this is happening a lot where people are doing these things and having some surprises. And then what do you do with that information?
I've heard other stories for sure. Families it's great. Families are finding each other, relatives are finding each other, siblings, long lost cousins, but then you have to deal with the why, the secrets, the how come I didn't know, and those are hard moments.
Did your mom feel like I can finally sit this down like it was off, or was
Oh.
it still really carrying something like that for so long had to weigh on her?
I think she's processing that now. I don't believe that she's there because when we talk, when it's just she and I and my daughter, because my daughter loves Grandma, she loves talking to her about this. But we have a really great conversation about it. But I think when my other siblings that I grew up with are around, she really doesn't want to have that conversation. She's really reserved about what she would say. But when we're by ourselves, she lets it all flow, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Okay.
And I bet you've learned a thing or two
I have.
about the family you just acquired and the man. Like, does he make you make sense? His personality or the stories that you've heard?
He does. I've gotten some pictures from some family members from that side of the family, and my son favors him.
Ooh.
And I remember when I first had my son, my mom said, "Oh, this baby is telling on me," and I'm like, "What did she just say?" I was like, "What is he not?" I was like, "He's not telling on you," because I didn't know. I'm like, "He's not telling on. What is he telling on you about? What?" She just let it go, and I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. And I just had my baby. But then I got these pictures, and I'm like,
Now it comes
And
back.
it makes sense.
Did that comment like come rushing back to you like,
Yeah. And I'm like,
Mom?
so when we talked, I'm like, so that's what you, and she's like, yeah. And my mom is very reserved. It's really cute to watch. But it's like, but now we can talk about it, and she's getting more comfortable talking about it with me. She's still not comfortable about it, talking about it, out in general public. But with me, she's real comfortable. She's told me, oh, and so is his cousin, and I'm like, I hung out with what?
And now you're learning even more.
I'm learning this backstory to my story of my life. And I'm like, all of this stuff was going on around me, and I had no idea.
Would you even have had these conversations with your mom if you had not told your story on the stage, done the reflection and the work, and then had to make the call? Like, Mom, guess what? I'm telling everything. Like, did that open doors, you think?
I think it did, because I'm 58 years old, and
Which is shocking because you don't look a day over 29.
well, thank you.
Not a
but
day.
I'm a lot of days over 29. But yeah, and we talk about it now, and she's freer, I think, because of it.
Whoa.
With me talking, because I'm very open and honest. I've always been that way. And so I'm just very forward. Okay, tell me about this. How did y'all meet? How did this start? Just tell me about it. I just want to know. I'm like, it's not anything. I'm like, hey, Dad is gone.
Yeah.
And that guy is gone. And I need to know these things. I'm like, because back in the day, you were like, they used to tell us you got to watch who you having babies by. That makes sense to me now, because it could be your brother or it could be your cousin. And so I'm like,
You can't go and date people in the neighborhood like anyone else
that
can
anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but that's how so it's a joke. And, we say, look, you got to watch who you having your babies by, because you never know.
Oh, that has.
And
But I just
Such a
keep
different
thinking of
meaning.
your mom, like all of those worries. Who are, those kinds of connections? What if someone finds out this heavy secret she's carrying? I just feel like I want to sigh at something, a bit of relief for her. Like,
I think it is.
and that you're an adult and such a loving and lovely daughter, that maybe that she had that fear of this child that I love so much. What if this harms our relationship? And all the fears she must have had, she must be going through all of that now, processing.
Because I've thought about all of that. I thought about how, just the laundry thing. She always took me with her when we didn't. And so I've been processing.
See, now you're putting
this,
all these
and I'm
pieces
like,
together.
Perhaps she was trying to protect, because I believe, I got it worse than everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I would always go with her. And I think that's why we're the closest now.
Did she confirm, the dad that raised you, did he indeed know?
I didn't. I don't want to even go there with her because I don't want to know. I don't need to know.
Oh,
I
that's
suspect,
right.
but I don't want to know.
Right. You were there when he passed.
Yeah.
And right. I mean, you may suspect because of how he treated you or behaved, but you've just let that one.
I let
that one lie. Okay.
Go.
It's
That's
not
fine.
something that is.
I don't need it.
Carla, this is like an episode of some really cool, true family history show. So we need to take a quick break. And then, I don't know, are there more secrets? Are there more skeletons in the closet?
There's a really good one.
Oh my God, stay tuned. We'll be
All
right
right,
back.
I'm going to pour a glass of wine.
So, Carla, it was unreal to go through this with you when you were writing your story, but so much more, so many more discoveries. This is, I love this. And I love how you are sitting here just owning it all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is just more of your story. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's growth.
Well, it's so because I'm as a mom, I'm still thinking about your mom and what her fears would have been. And I think if, obviously she raised you, she knows you, but what a gift to have somebody who's going to go through that with you with such grace and humility and giving grace to her. So what else is going on? Anything else?
That's got to be it. That's all of it, right?
Surely.
Just some discoveries. When I found out who my siblings were, I realized that I went to high school with my nephew, and we double dated for homecoming. He went with my best friend, not with me.
Okay.
He went with my best friend, and I went with another guy, but we double dated, and I was like,
your mom had to be.
I don't even know if she knew, because we were teenagers back then. We didn't tell them everything.
So this is all in hindsight when you're putting all the pieces together. Okay.
Yeah.
But still.
And I'm like, y'all didn't think that was too close for comfort? And they were like
maybe some warning, please.
Well, I'm just like, did you know? Because I asked his mom, because his mom is my sister now.
Yes.
And I'm like, did you know who I was?
Did she?
I don't think so, because they found out about me. I was an adult at that point.
Right.
So I don't know if they knew or not.
Oh, at the time, right.
At the time. And
He's
we were in
just
high
going
school.
with friends, right.
Yeah, we were in the class
It's
together.
all in hindsight.
And I was like, you are so lucky. I wasn't into short guys then.
Lucky
We
you're
are
short.
lucky. We are lucky.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
my husband's short now. I married a short guy, and I'm like, but I wasn't into short
Not
guys
then.
back then.
But you married a good one.
I married a really
You married
good
a great one. I've heard nothing but amazing things about him.
He's a great guy. But
And you grew up in the Erie, Pennsylvania area.
Yes.
And now you live your life in Danville, Illinois.
I do.
How did that happen?
I met that man.
Oh, he brought you here.
He brought me here. Yeah, he's from Chicago, and his grandparents were here, and we were in Florida at the time. And he said, "I got to go home. His great grandmother passed away, and his grandmother was here, and she was aged, and we were concerned about her health. And he's like, we got to come. I got to go home. I got to go take care of my grandma, because they practically raised him." And so I'm like, yep, that's what we do. And so we moved to Illinois, and we got here, and then 8 months later, she passed. But I'm here to tell you, those were the best 8 months. I wouldn't have traded them for anything, because my children got to meet their great grandma, and they got to know her, and they have fond memories of her. They were little, but they still remember her, because she was real old school. She told them, I was at work one day, and they called, and they goes, "Mom, tell Grandma to let us watch TV." It was a storm. She had everything off, and she had them under the bed.
Oh.
And they were like, "Tell her we can watch TV." And I'm like,
That's how they did it.
I'm
right?
laughing, because it's the generation that they were in. It was the season that they were in. How they were raised was different than how we were raised, which is different than how I raised my children. And so I've taught my children, I've always been honest with them. I said, you know what? We're going to always be honest. I said, it's my job to tell you the truth. It's not your job to teach your friends, though.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Fair enough.
So I'll tell you, you ask me anything, I'll tell you the truth, but you can't tell your friends. And that's how we've always been. And to this day, my son is 34 and my daughter's 32.
Which is crazy because you're 29.
I know.
I know.
I adopted them.
Obviously.
But we have the best conversations. My daughter will call me every morning and we drive in because we both have a commute. We drive into work just talking about
Every day.
everything every day. And on the way home, she has me on Life 360. So she
Oh, mom's in the car.
exactly.
Yes.
I don't get a block away from home and the phone's ringing. And so she's like, well, I saw your little person. It's walking. So I knew you were going to be in your car in a minute. And then she calls.
Where is she located?
She's located in Bourbonnais.
Okay, it's not that far.
It's not that far, no. And my son is in Danville with us. But he travels because he's a truck driver. So when he's on the road, we get the call.
Do you get to watch him on the screen? Like
No, I don't want. No, he told us we weren't allowed to put him on 360, and I don't want to. You're a 34-year-old
Okay, you're a
man.
grown
I do
man.
not want to
Fair
know
enough.
where you're going. Just tell me you're alive.
Just check in. Tell
Just
me you're
check
safe.
it.
You're
Tell
okay.
me you're safe. But yeah,
Now, you are how old again, you said?
I'm 58, and I will be 59 in October.
And you are how close to getting your PhD?
My goal and my prayer is to have it in May of 2026.
Unbelievable.
I'm in the writing process and research process. I've written and passed my proposal. I'm making edits, and I am hopefully going to start research this semester so that I can defend in next semester and then graduate.
And I want all of our friends to know a little bit about what it is you're researching. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to dive in. We'll be right back. Okay, so less than a year, you defend. What is your research on?
My research is, the title of it is, oh goodness, I have to remember it because I haven't looked at it in a minute.
It's okay.
It is the understanding of Black women Black women in executive positions in community colleges in the United States.
Wow.
Understanding the lived experience of Black women in executive positions in community colleges in the United States.
See, I thought we were going to spend a lot of time with Carla today discussing that because I think it's so fascinating. But you brought all these juicy tidbits to share, and now I'm just like in awe. We don't have a whole lot of time, but
2.0.
I think we have to have her back. I don't know, but how is that going? Like that is such a amazingly specific but also awesome topic.
It's going really well. I've done the back work, the lit review, and it just talks about the experiences that Black women have in higher ed, in the general. And I'm specifically focusing on community colleges because that's my wheelhouse. That's where I spent a lot of my career. But it's understanding those, and it's not just experiences that they're seeing only in community colleges. It has I can't even think of the word right now, but you see these experiences throughout whatever industry you're in.
Right. So you're studying one particular
yes.
industry, but these experiences repeat.
They repeat.
You see them reflected elsewhere. I could certainly see that for sure.
So it has potential to impact women from other industries, not just in higher ed.
And then what are you going to do?
I'm
Dr. Carla Boyd. What's
I
Dr.
don't
Carla?
know. I think Dr. Carla will probably
Host a
take
podcast.
a nap. She will probably take a long
And
nap.
you would certainly deserve one.
I would hope to go back and to teach. When I was at the community college, I taught developmental reading, and I also taught race and ethnic relations. And I would love to go back and part-time teach.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Bring all this amazing goodness, into the world for the next generation so they can learn and make their world better from your experience, right? We want young Black women to know that they have choices, and you're doing the work, you're doing the research so that they can improve.
You can see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that what I write, that it'll resonate with them, but it'll also help them to avoid any pitfalls
Right.
or they will be able to see if a pitfall is coming, that they'll be able to avoid it.
You're going to be an expert in the field. We can get you on some more stages, I think. Oh, look at her. She's a panic. Like, you got this, girl. You got this. You got something to say. Now, we took a break and you shared one more bomb drop, and we are almost out of time. So what is it you discovered recently?
Recently, I met my brother from my biological father. He lives in the Philippines, and he is currently in Erie. We had a family reunion on my traditional family side, and he would happen to be in town, and so he came to our friends and family day. He and his wife, and they are there for about 3 months. When they come to the United States, they stay for a little bit, and so he'll be there. And so I'm hoping to go back to Erie. I was there first weekend in August, and I'm hoping to go back so I can spend some more time with them.
And the only connection he has to that family is you.
Well, he also knows the other siblings. He knows our other siblings, but he's the only connection to me.
Like blood.
From blood.
Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, your whole world has changed, as an
has.
adult. Like, some of us hit a point in our lives and, story over. We're just coasting till the end. And you're like, brand new story, brand new day, brand new discovery.
And just rolling with it. I mean, you seem to just roll with it. Is this where you are now, or has this been?
I think I've always been like, it is what it is. But it's not all been fun because my other siblings are not quite happy that I'm spending time with these other folks.
Sure.
And so talking through that with them and working through that with them has been a challenge, especially with my sister that's really close to me. But we're doing it.
Carla, it has been an absolute pleasure catching up with you. I can't believe how much I missed in such a short amount of time. But unfortunately, it's time for us to go because, well, we're going to go out. We're going to go out after this. I'm going to get the rest of the tea.
I still have questions.
I know. We're going to have to do 2.0. But for now, friends, we're so grateful you joined us. We're so happy to see Carla back in the studio and get the story after the story. The story continues. But we'll see you next time here on the She Said Project podcast.
Over and out.
Thank you for listening to the She Said Project podcast. All materials contained in the podcast are the exclusive property of the She Said Project and That's What She Said LLC. For more information on our live shows, go to shesaidproject.com.